Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm Faye Watt, and let's queer up business. Orlando finally reveals images of Pulse nightclub shooting memorial. Orlando's Pulse Memorial Advisory Committee has chosen a final design for a permanent tribute to the 49 lives lost in the 2016 nightclub shooting. Set on the original site, the memorial will feature an elliptical walkway with 49 rainbow-colored glass panels, a private indoor space for mementos, and an outdoor garden honoring survivors. A reflection pool will display a rainbow heart and an electrocardiogram pulse. The committee will meet with the Orlando City Council on February 24th to finalize details. The city aims to begin construction bids in March and select a contractor by July. Mayor Buddy Dyer hopes the memorial will be completed by late summer 2027. At Hotspots Happening Out, we were deeply touched by executive producers Al Ferguson's friendship with Eddie Sotomayor, who was also known as Top Hat Eddie, who was lost at the Pulse nightclub massacre. This is a long time coming, folks. This was 2016, so we're going on 8 years, right? Almost 9 that this happened. And there's been so much speculation about what the Pulse Foundation has done. That the Pulse Foundation had to fold, that they had that they had raised a lot of money in those years, but had used 17 million of it or 11.5 million of it for just expenses and stuff that they had to pay over the years, etc. But survivors and families and people had been waiting to see, when is this memorial coming? I was one of the people that actually thought that it might never happen, right? Because of just all the push and pull, the city getting involved, etc. They were thinking of maybe moving the memorial somewhere else, which I really think wouldn't have been the best idea, being that was where these 49 lives were lost. And that's where it should be. We've got to make a point that most of the people that were killed at the Pulse massacre were Latinos also, and we think of them every year when the anniversary comes. This is a step in the right direction, right? I'm hoping, these are plans for this to happen. Now I want to see the ground broken, and I want to get this started to see something happen. They're saying by summer 2026. That's expecting a lot in a short period of time from my seat.
It's going to be one of those things that hopefully government will not be inefficient about it. I mean, if the city is going to do it, my fear is that Tallahassee is going to try to interfere. They're going to try to say, don't build memorials
because of the gay part of it, you mean?
Well, or the Latino part. Take your pick.
Very true.
These days, either one can go. Ron DeSantis want to basically deport everyeveryone, but Florida legislature is like, I need farm workers and construction workers and waiters. And they bounce back, they push back, and but for the spirit of the memorial, I think the sculpture is really nice. I think the reflecting pool and the elliptical walk, that looks great. So hopefully that would become a good, I won't say solemn, but sober memorial.
A part of me is not that shocked that it's taken that long, because creating a memorial for something of a wound this deep in our society, it has to be done very, very delicately and very thoughtfully. So I think Mayor Buddy Dyer is doing a good job with moving this forward. It does look very beautiful, because as someone who's interviewed a Pulse survivor and has had friends that weren't at the club but were at the hospital after, it just always hits me when talking about Pulse, just as a brick wall of what happened that night. So I'm glad that the city took the time to think about how to do this right. And and it's hard, you're running a nightclub, this tragic event happens, this trying to be thrusted, then has to deal with it, trying to do, what do you do to talk about it?
Running a nonprofit is not easy. And doing all the right things and making sure that the families are happy, the survivors are happy, the county is happy, the country is happy. That's a lot.
It's a huge weight, and there is no right answer of how to respond to something like this in society.
And I read somewhere that for a certain group of people, the Pulse nightclub massacre is like our 9/11, for the LGBTQ community. So I could imagine. I get goosebumps right now. I hope this memorial happens, because I could see us going there to pay homage to people that we have lost aside from Pulse. Just because of all the stuff that's going on in LGBT.
I'm glad you referred to sort of like our 9/11, because I remember that day. I was living in DC. I'd never been to Florida. I verbally screamed at the television when they released it, because it hit me and it hit everyone I knew just so hard. Like, and I'm sorry, most of our viewers, it hit us so differently than almost any other shooting that we've seen in the last 20 years.
Well, and it also didn't help that it's 3 hours away from us. I mean, it literally is right there. And we know so many people down here that spend their weekends in Orlando because it's right there. You know what I mean?
I was in Orlando that weekend. We didn't go to Pulse. My husband and I, well, actually back then my boyfriend and I were Disney adults, so we're on the other side of town. But when we were leaving, we heard about it when we were leaving the next morning. And
wow.
It was just gut-wrenching. It was awful. But I mean, I wasn't there, so I'm not going to like insert myself into the survivorship thing.
No, not like many people have. You know, many people, like you hear across the board, I was there or I was in the vicinity. Bitch, you weren't. You know what I mean? Like if you were, you were affected. This memorial is for you, you know, and this is the brainchild of someone thinking of you, thinking of folks that survived, thinking of those that we lost. I really hope that this happens by summer 2026. We're going to send all kinds of good vibes. And if it doesn't happen, you will hear it here.
On Queer News Tonight.
We will call it out right here on Queer News Tonight. So that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.